So it's very important for you to have an open mind anytime you sacrifice your time to listen to someone speak about some topics. There's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why this topic is picked. And so just open up your mind. Just open it up, and if it's not for you, it will be for somebody else. Perfect Roxy, how are you? If it's not for you directly, it will either be for you to use with your kids or your friend, even your parents. You don't know. So I'm going to start now. It's 7:06, and I want to welcome you to this edition of Straight Talk. Straight Talk deals with issues that concern our daily walk through life. It's not all about money. They're very critical, foundational things that you need to learn. You need to be in control of for you to enjoy even that money you are making, for you to be happy even doing what you are doing. You understand? It is very, very critical. So, walking this journey of emotional safety with you this month. For those who have been with me from the beginning of the month, hello. For those who have been with me from the beginning of the month, you will know that this month is just for emotional security. Emotional security. You understand? And I'm sure most of you who have listened to me from the beginning, you have awakened to realities you were not even aware of. The first week of September, I introduced the series with the need, why you need emotional security in your life, why it is crucial to your all-round well-being for you to be emotionally secure, for you to be secure, to be able to acquire wealth in your finances, in your relationships. Second week, I spoke about the need for emotional security in your marriage, focusing on the family. You understand? I discussed why you need to be emotionally secure even with your parents, your relationship with your parents and your siblings and your friends. It's amazing how these areas are not focused upon in most times. Is the sound off? Somebody said the sound is off. Is the sound off? Please let me know. Coke says the sound is off. Can other people hear me? Okay. So it means that Cokes, check your sound. Boss lady, you cannot hear me? Okay, so that means if you cannot hear me, check your sound. So I said, welcome to this version of emotional security. I said the first week I introduced the series with the need for emotional security in your life, why it is crucial to all your all-round health and well-being, your finances, your relationship. Second week, I spoke about the need for emotional security in your marriage, in your relationships, your immediate family. I discussed why you need to be emotionally secure even with your relationship with your parents and your siblings. How sometimes your siblings twist your knots, and you can't throw them away with the bathwater. So you need to be able to understand how you can handle them and deal with them without compromising your own emotional security. You understand? It's amazing how these areas are often overlooked in the emotional scale ladder. Today we are taking the discussion to another much more intimate level. The focus for today is to look at emotional security between spouses or partners, emotional security in your love life, in your relationship. That's where we're going to focus upon today. So yes, it is true that our emotions get bubbly, very bubbly, and the passions range rage when we are just starting a relationship with a partner, with your significant other, whether it's a marriage relationship or a partner relationship. It's always interesting, very interesting and euphoric when we just began the journey. I've been there, I know all about that. But like everything else in life, sometimes the road in our relationships can be just bumpy, very bumpy. And sometimes with the threatened likelihood of an unwanted separation or heartaches. I'm sure I'm talking to some people, you have been through certain things like that. So in today's episode of Straight Talk, you will learn the importance of creating emotional security at the start of your relationship, before it even starts. How to create one if you don't have it in your relationship, and how to rebuild it in your relationship just in case it is threatened. That's what we're going to do now. So have you got your pen and paper? You've got everything ready? Because like I tell people, I teach and you need to write it down. But for those who may not want to write it down, they want to listen, you know that for 24 hours, this recording is online on Instagram. But I will try to save it as well. I have an audio of it. So even the past ones that I have done, the past two segments, if you would like it, do send me a DM. I will send you either a transcript or I'll direct you to where you can watch it. It's a whole series and you need to be on top of the series. So, like I said, at the beginning of a new romance, often the charge of emotions and the freshness of the bond makes one overlook. You will overlook or cover up many feelings of lack of security. That's why I tell people when they come to me about emotional issues, especially when it has to do with violence, various forms of violence, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, economical abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, there was always a sign. And because of the thrills, the charge of, connection and the freshness of the bond, you tend to overlook it. But however, with time, as the relationship progresses, people often become aware of the underdeveloped structures of internal safety. When issues come up to destabilize your feelings of being safe with your partner, it does, you begin to realize it. When your emotions are threatened, you feel unsafe. You begin to, question if you made the right decision. Am I talking to somebody? If you made the right decision, you begin to question that. When this happens, the immediate reaction is to ask, even maybe demand, that your partner either stop doing the annoying things that is causing you to feel unsafe, or to do more of the good things that caused you to feel safe in the first instance, to decide to spend your life with him or her, or even decide to live together. Do you understand? Sandra, I have one of my people, not the real names, Sandra, married for 6 years, told me that over the last year, I saw her, I think it was in May, over the last year we have had so many fights that I just don't trust him with my feelings anymore. Now this is a marriage of 6 years. They've had so many fights that she doesn't trust him with her feelings anymore. And you know what that causes? A withdrawal, a complete withdrawal. You package one side, your feelings, you put it into a safe zone, and you only release a little bit at a time, and that will cause problems. John has been dating for only 8 months. And what did he say to me? He said, it feels like she sends me mixed signals all the time. That's what he said. 1 minute, everything is fine between us. Then all of a sudden, she gets angry about something and she doesn't know why. I need something more stable. I then asked him, I said, maybe it's her time of month and maybe hormonal imbalance and everything. He said, no. He said it could happen at any time. Men too feel emotionally insecure. When he cannot really place his hand on when you are feeling good or when you are feeling bad, then there is a problem. There is a problem with you yourself. You need therapy, you need coaching, you need counseling. Do you understand? If your mood swings, you have so many mood swings, then you've got to swing yourself to look for a qualified, experienced coach or therapist or counselor to help you unravel the knots that's making you cold one minute and hot the other. And like it says in the Bible, it says a double-minded person is like a ship on, in a wavy sea. It's moving, it's neither to one side or to the other. And you know what happens with that? It becomes unstable. And most times the people on the ship, they fall ill, very ill. And so he says, I need something more stable. So why is emotional safety so important for your relationship? Some of you may be asking, why is it so important for your relationship? Let me tell you something. Emotional security acts as a safety net. You understand? A buffer that allows you and your partner to be real and genuine with one another without the constant fear that the bottom will drop out. Constant fear that the bottom will drop out, that if anything happens, the bottom will drop out. A young lady had an issue last week. I had to really, deal with the issue and pump her up. And we discovered that the basis of her always feeling, whenever she has a quarrel with her boyfriend, she goes into a frenzy. And she feels that he's going to walk out on her. And you know something? That was making her take certain actions that would even make him move back even more. Because what will happen is she will become needy. And most people cannot handle needy people. Do you understand? I'm glad you agree with me, Glamour. Needy people, we can't stand. Even you yourself, if one of your friends, not even an emotional one, but a close one, becomes needy, wants you to be there for him or her all the time, calls, if you don't answer, will begin to grumble. The first thing that happens when the phone is picked up is, so you cannot call me. I used to have friends like that, back there, until I said to myself, no, I don't need any emotional vampire in my life, where they drag on your energy, and because you're trying so hard to be nice, after the call you feel drained. When they come to visit you, you feel drained. And so why are you doing that to yourself? I took a decision. I said, hey, wait, I don't owe anybody any obligation except the obligation of being your brother's keeper and being nice to one another. And if it's going to be too much of a stress, let everybody unto thy tent, O Israel. Everybody just find their water level. Do you understand? So intimate relationship ought to be built on the foundation of emotional security. A relationship devoid of a solid base of emotional security leads to heightened insecurity and possible mistrust. You are not able to lean into the comforting arms of your relationship when emotional safety is lacking. You're not. In fact, your relationship ends up causing you pain rather than acting as a buffer against distress. It causes you pain, serious pain. Yet you are sitting down there. The fire is raging, but because you are emotionally involved and you have not seen the signs of emotional insecurity, or you have seen it, but you keep hoping, like some women will tell me, I hoped that when we got married that everything will calm down. Listen. Let me tell you something. Anything that's not working before you get married or before you go into that permanent relationship will get worse, because complexity comes in. Anything that was working before will get better because you will want it to be better. Do you understand? So when there's no emotional security, you're not able to lean into the comforting arms of your relationship. you are not able to do that. In fact, your relationship ends up causing you pain, more pain, as I said. You just don't know what to do anymore. It's like being on stage in front of a hostile audience who may boo you, or in other countries they will be throwing rotten tomatoes at you at any moment. That's the way you will feel, you understand? But the reality is that these things don't just get up and happen on their own. Let me tell you something. Emotional security does not just get up and happen on its own, except you consciously work with your partner or build emotional security into your relationship. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's not magic. It's not rocket science either. You have to work at it. You must decide what safety measures you want to have in place with your partner. It must start from the beginning. It must start from the beginning. Do you understand? You shouldn't compromise. Just because your friends are getting married, or because you are a certain age like me now, you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I need a companion, just somebody to talk to, somebody to just, the hair feeling is gone. It's for younger people, but somebody to talk to. Then you compromise with that somebody to talk to. I tell you something, you'll regret it as a matured woman. You will regret it and wish, and then there's an added annoyance that at your age, how can somebody take you for a ride? He didn't take you for a ride, or she didn't take you for a ride. You decided to go on that lovely ride. You decided to take yourself on that ride. Same thing as younger people. You decided to go on that ride without doing due diligence of personality profiling, value profiling, and making sure that your commitment level is the same. Do you understand me? So you need to decide what safety measures you want to have in place with your partner, honestly, before you get married and after you get married, if the Lord helps you and there is still time for you to negotiate peace and happiness in your life. But if you allow it to go on for too long, the negotiation pattern becomes more difficult, and you will need a qualified third party to come in. But that is if both of you haven't got to the point whereby you have left that situation. I tell people, love does not leave a relationship. The people leave the relationship because of unresolved differences or expectations, unrealistic expectations. Do you understand me? So knowing what safety measures you want is very important. These are some of the things that you need to put in place to be successful in your relationships and the way you want it to turn out. There are a long list of areas you may want to focus on when creating emotional safety in your relationship or marriage, but I will discuss three areas that I suggest you focus on when creating relationship emotional security. Number one, commitment. Oh, Lord have mercy. Commitment is so important. If you ask me, I will tell you as a therapist that no relationship exists where this is missing. Whether commitment before you get committed, commitment when you have gotten committed, you understand. When it is missing, the relationship has no it will take a lot to put it in place, because most people who have commitment phobia, of commitment issues, are very insecure themselves, or they're so insecure and they have fear chasing them. It's deeper than just the person is not committed. So if a person is not committed, you need to be careful, because presently we live in a world where people don't feel or take responsibility to be committed emotionally to their partners. This shows itself up in the eventual breakdown in most relationships. Eileen, you said, what if it happens in the middle of the marriage, where commitment goes out through the window? Yes, that's what we're talking about. Well, you will need the help of a therapist, a counselor, or a psychologist to help out. That is if the partner who is now wavering is ready to look for a solution. Sometimes if the person is not ready and you are not ready to leave the marriage, then you find a compromise where you just tolerate one another and just live, especially when the children are there. You just live, you just try to live a life. They said, what you cannot change, you either leave that situation, or when you cannot leave that situation, then you have to deploy skills, life skills, to be able to live in that unhappy or unresolved situation until it's resolved. So one of the ways you show commitment is by the choices you make in your relationship. The central action here is the conscious decision to remain exclusive. It's a conscious decision to be taken to remain exclusive, to remain dedicated and faithful to one another. It's a conscious decision. Do you understand? This should not be only when things are going great between you both. It's not only when things are going great between you both. Let me tell you one thing. Commitment is what holds a relationship together. Because when you come together, it doesn't mean that you don't look at the opposite sex. And sometimes you could feel attracted. You could feel attracted to the opposite sex even when committed, when you are in a marriage or in a solid relationship. Don't give me that holier than thou situation. Do you understand? But it is a conscious decision to remain exclusive, to remain dedicated and faithful to one another that will help you to transcend the many temptations that will come. Yes. It's a conscious decision to remain married. Do you understand me? So it should also include the times when those murky, challenging and difficult times that comes naturally as the process of growth happens, that you encounter in your journey through life. Do you understand? So the first one is commitment. The second one is emotional availability and presence. I've had partners, especially women, tell me how hurtful and demeaning it feels to be treated as just a warm body. A warm body. Just to be there when the sexual need comes out. One of the ways of breeding insecurity emotionally in a relationship is when a partner appears to be emotionally distanced from the person in a relationship with. Do you understand? It can be quite devastating, albeit an existing phenomenon. It is an existing phenomenon. You know, you find relationship where one partner is much more available emotionally than the other. This is one area you want to focus on at the start of your relationship. At the start of your relationship is one area to focus on. To feed the relationship foundation, couples need to be emotionally engaged in every way and available for one another, at least more often than not. You should make yourselves known to one another by sharing your feelings, reactions, values, ideas, your fears, and also to be open and receptive to your partner's sharing. Couples often report feeling painfully alone when emotional distance becomes the norm. And let me tell you something, there was a sign already there that you guys were not really, your values were not really in sync. Especially in the sexual arena, when a man is not emotionally, expressive throughout the day, and then at night he now taps you, Madam Sikira, how now? In the initial days, you might just try, but let me tell you something, after some time, you will feel used. You will feel you are just a warm body, only good enough for when he feels in the need. And that begins the crack. It happens in many relationships. Why would you be in a relationship with a person when you cannot share your feelings, when you cannot share your reactions, when you cannot share your values or your ideas or your fears? Why would you want to be in that relationship? That's a question that nobody can answer. I have been down that path before because you feel you are Madam Fix-It. You are Mr. Fix-It. You can fix the other person. You can't fix nobody if the person does not want to be fixed. And that is what happens a lot in relationships. And if you have a background of insecurity, do you understand? And it wasn't resolved as a child, you may have, serial relationships because you are looking for that love that you are not able to articulate. But that is the reason. Boss lady, you said sometimes I feel I'm just there when he needs me. You'll be surprised that you're not the only one. And you'll feel like a thing. You'll feel like, when some people are having relationships and he comes and goes, you don't see him for a while, then he comes again, you don't see him from a while, comes again. I discovered that it's called a booty call. You understand? Is it booty or booty? Booty, whatever, call. And you're sitting down there waiting by your phone, and he only comes when he feels he needs you or she needs you. You are bigger than that. You should have more respect for yourself than that. Patience, you're laughing. Oh, booty call. Okay, all right. I will put that in my head. Booty call. All right. Okay. So so there you are. If you cannot open up to your spouse, then there's a big problem. It started from before you got married. You didn't see it, but it was there. You were two different people. You seemed alike, but you were two different people. And of course, that's where we come in, relationship experts, relationship therapists. And I tell you something, it's not only book knowledge I have been down series of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like I tell people, I have been, in situations where my emotions, I had to learn how to handle my emotions. And I thank God for that. That's why I'm stuck. I try to veer off as a business process person into entrepreneurship and all of that, but I keep coming back to emotions because emotions rule the world. Emotions is core to success, all kinds of success, financial success, health success, spiritual success, everything. Emotions rule the world. And I know that when you can handle your emotions, you are a better person. You are at peace with yourself, first and foremost. Hello, Ronke. Peace with yourself, first and foremost. And when you are at peace with yourself, you are at peace with everybody. And then you respect yourself more. You will not allow boundaries around you to be broken. Do you understand me? The third one is being predictable and consistent. I said 3 areas that you need to work on for emotional security is commitment. The second one is emotional availability and presence. You must be for one another. The third one is being predictable and consistent. Let me ask you one question. Just a minute. How would you feel when you deal with unpredictable situations? How do you feel? Take a minute. How do you feel? Recollect it. How do you feel when you deal with unpredictable situations? You feel awful and disconnected, right? Thank you, Eunice. You feel awful and disconnected, right? Don't you? Aha. Then imagine how disconcerting it is for your partner to act supportive and loving one day, Chini said overwhelmed, indifferent and cold the next. Yes, unsure, indifferent and cold, then critical the next, only to be followed by a burst of attentiveness and kindness. I spoke about that guy earlier on, talking about being in 6 months of a relationship, and he has a girlfriend that is cold 1 minute, hot 1 minute, and he just can't take it. As Eileen said, sometimes it's hard when your partner is not cooperating with you. It can be very hard because you are not on the same level. You are not on the same value system. What your partner considers important is not what you consider important. Very laid back. Sometimes in that relationship, very laid back. Fab says, but Ma, don't you think when you are predictable, you get taken for granted? No. No, you cannot get taken for granted if you know your value system and you have your boundaries. Do you understand? And you have your boundaries. We're talking about you need to be predictable and consistent, and not like a rudderless train. You know, Roger, just going. 1 minute you are supportive, the next minute you are indifferent and cold, and next critical. No. That is emotional disintelligence completely, if there is a word like that. Do you understand? So while this example is extreme, I'm giving you an extreme example. Erratic and inconsistent behavior can weaken and ultimately destroy the foundation of emotional security in a relationship. In fact, it is called emotional abuse. When you play yo-yo with the emotions of your partner, it's emotional abuse. You gradually wear that person down. And when it becomes very bad, the person loses their self-confidence, loses their self-esteem, and becomes very unsure of themselves. Do you understand? I have counseled with many individuals who go through with their partners every waking moment of their life. They go through this with their partner completely, broken. These are experiences one can live without. Please, if you choose to identify and discuss them before it rears its ugly head up. A lot of times we're very reluctant to talk about touchy areas because you don't want to lose the person, or you don't want to cause any problem. There are situations whereby you have to gauge what you are discussing. Is it worth? When you learn to ask questions of yourself, you will learn to be more emotionally secure within yourself. And when you are emotionally secure, you will learn to overlook inconsequential situations and learn when you should speak up, and not take any nonsense, and learn to say to yourself, is it worth it? Because at the end of the day, if you explode and if you allow yourself to get drawn into an unnecessary confrontation, what happens to you? What happens to you? Your blood pressure goes up, you don't sleep well, you have headaches, and there are headaches that come, they call it cluster headaches, and then your neck here, your back pain, and the upper part of your stomach. Most ailment that is found has emotional ties. Pick your battles. Pick your battles, as someone just said. Do you understand? So failure to prepare your emotional safety net in your relationship is what leads to insecurity in marriages where they are ignored. When emotional safety is repeatedly compromised in a marriage or relationship, couples begin to disintegrate. You will disintegrate and close yourselves off from one another. You'll be like two tenants living in the house, grumpy, just about saying hello to one another. Fofo, don't worry, you just came on. I cannot tell you what it's all about. Once I finish, you will see it in my Instagram, I think it's story. It will stay on for 24 hours. We're talking about emotional security, and we've been talking about it for 3 weeks now. This is the third week, and this one is about emotional security in relationships. So just flow with this, and then you can go by. Do you understand? So when emotional safety is repeatedly compromised in a relationship, couples begin to disintegrate, and then after some time you move apart. So when disengagement is a self-protective maneuver, this pattern can lead to such a degree of separatedness, and before you know it, the relationship is no longer a relationship. You see, when you begin to move apart, you're trying to protect your feelings. You are trying to protect yourself. You have to be careful when you begin to move apart, because you lose that, you come out of the love situation, and the more you move out of it, the more it will be near impossible to get together, although it can help. Nowadays, a lot of us now understand the need for coaching and counseling in a relationship. Let me tell you, initially, if a relationship was very good and something happened, and most of the time, the something that happens is interference by in-laws, interference by people who should not interfere, and then both parties don't know what side to take. Do you understand me? That again is something you should discuss before you even go into the marriage. I tell people that when a man is too into being told what to do by his family, then be careful, because you are in for a long journey of trying to put your foot down in that relationship. Is it worth it at the end of the day? Do you understand? So two lives that rarely intersect in meaningful ways cannot equate to a relationship. A relationship arises out of relatedness, a mutual emotional connection that can only grow out of the soil of emotional safety. No matter the age of your marriage or relationship, learning, unlearning, and relearning about what makes your spouse, about what makes your partner feel emotionally safe is essential in creating and maintaining a strong relationship foundation. And for those who are matured, because sometimes, it depends on individuals, it's not good to be alone. You need to be careful who you decide to have as your companion, because it's not the gym that is the most important after a certain age. It is the companionship. But you need to be careful, because don't compromise your peace of mind because of companionship, because you'll begin to regret it and wonder to yourself that I'm not a kid. Why should I get myself into this? You even need to be even more careful than even the one that is just getting into the marriage. So you need, no matter the age, if you are not emotionally safe, you don't feel emotionally secure, then there is no need, because it is the basis for creating and maintaining a strong relationship foundation. Do you understand me? So we said the flip side the other time. A lady said, as they celebrated their 25 years of marriage, she said, he is my rock of ages, cleft for me. That is my Jesus, is my rock. He said, he is my rock, my human rock. Of course she means, I've learned over the years that I can trust him with anything. Wow. Another lady said of her partner, I think they were like 14 years or 15 years, said, we have been through some tough times together, and we have both said some things I wish could be taken back. But when push comes to shove, we have always had each other's back. Very important. You remember, you are two people who came together to try to make things work, to create a new generation. Sometimes dysfunctional people come together and it doesn't work. Sometimes two people come together, but because you come from different backgrounds, if you are committed and you play fair, you can make it work. So here are some features, before I round out, that you may need to look out for and build upon to create an emotionally safe relationship for you and your partner. Number one, trust that the other person has your best interest at heart, and treat them as if you do until proven otherwise. When you find it right from the beginning, without any reason to keep on distrusting your partner because somebody, cheated on you or, messed with your trust, you have already created a problem in that relationship. Two, both of you need to be accountable and reliable. Anyone who's not accountable in a relationship, there is no relationship. You are just existing in the relationship. And if before you go in, you have a boyfriend or a partner who tells you, at my own time, you've got to, it has to be my own time. It happens. They say things like that. And the woman is so desperate to get married, she hopes she can fix him. You can't fix him, Jack. Nothing like that. Saying what you mean, meaning what you say, but not saying it meanly. Meaning what you say does not mean you should use the wrong language. You must respect one another and use the right language. When horrible language comes into your relationship, you have lost respect for one another. No name calling or use of demeaning language. Taking responsibility for your own feelings and not casting blame. That's another point you must make. And no verbal threats. No threats of, I will deal with you, I will leave you, I will walk out on you, I will bring another woman into the house. Come on. Come on. You know, you are not God, and you came to this earth and you met her or him at a certain point. They were important to some people before you came. So don't leave that, you know, all those threats, dump it into the dustbin. And you don't take those threats, don't sit down and take those threats, please. Because it is what you allow to happen to you that will be given to you. In as much as how, you know, you get up. Yes, one of it is I regret marrying you. That person is a clown, male or female. Didn't you know that before? You think that it's a commitment, marriage is just hunky-dory. Next is treat your relationship as if it's a living, breathing entity. Relationship is energy filled. You must treat it with respect. It takes work. It takes work and work and work. Give your relationship room to grow rather than stagnate from neglect. You must titillate one another. You must go out. You must have, you know, you must have fun, not just work, plunk yourself in front of the TV where the children are. It's all about children, and then at night you just tap the person. No romance, no foreplay, and then you think that feeling will grow. No, it won't grow. One Susie outside there will just, you know, do some things, and before you know it, same thing as the woman too, because it's not only the man that gets tempted. Nah. Emotions are real. Emotions are real. And it's just because the woman has a lot more to lose when she goes out there, because she is a container. She carries, and she needs to be very careful. Do you understand? Very, very careful. And so, but the feelings are the same. So you need to, well, Boss Lady says not all men like their wife to go out. Well, it all depends on your on your relationship. What did you talk about? What did you talk about before then? That is very important. Lay the ground rules. If from the start you know that he doesn't want you to go out and you accepted it, and then midway in the relationship you decide, you know, you see your friends all free and everything, and you decide, this man is making me a prisoner in the house. Did he not tell you that before? Come on. You understand? Let me carry on. Don't divert me. You, these people, you keep diverting me. Be your partner's most ardent cheerleader. You must be your partner's cheerleader. If you pull your partner down because of insecurities, you will create an insecure atmosphere that will not be palatable for both of you. So don't hold your partner hostage with demands for how a relationship should be. Look at Tom, Dick, and Harry. Look at how their relationship is. Our relationship is nonsense. Our relationship is that. You chose it. And the more you compare, the more it will not augur well for the relationship. Nobody likes to be compared. Even little kids don't like to be compared. When you compare, you look at your friend XYZ, look at how he's behaving and things like that. You instead create a resentment, a resentful attitude. You will not get what you want through those things. Next is, don't withhold resentments only to use them as ammunition. You will cause problem in the house. You are resentful. You don't say it out. You say, I don't talk until I have it more. Then when you now explode, it just keeps coming. You now repeat something 1 year ago, 1 month ago, in detail. And the poor guy is looking at you and said, when did that happen? When did that happen? You understand? Stop using, resentments as ammunition. Next, be open to having inevitable difficult conversations. Be open to it. You can't have it ticketable all the time. Do you understand? Somebody asked, should you have ground issues in courtships, especially when it concerns, what did you say? Should you, what did she say? Oh, if you don't have ground rules whilst you were courting, can you have it in a relationship? Well, you can try. That's what I said earlier on. What you did not put in place before, God being willing, if you realize, both of you realize it after, you can actually begin to work towards ground rules in resolving issues. You can work towards ground rules in resolving issues. Yes. Now the next one is, you must be open to having inevitable difficult conversations. You will. So you can't have a win-win situation all the time. You are not in a boxing ring and somebody has to win. It can't be win-win all the time. Sometimes you just agree to disagree. So long as you come to a midway understanding and try to. When you want your way all the time, you're like a spoiled child and you are emotionally immature. Do you understand? Next is, see your partner as an ally and not as an adversary. Next, recognize that relationships are not 50-50. No, they are 100-100, not even 80-20, Pareto's principle. No. 100, with each partner bringing all of who they are to the table. But because of our culture, the man does not want to bring much to the table. They tell the woman that it is you that can hold your marriage. I never accept that. A woman comes into a marriage and it is the way that the man handles that marriage that it will be what the man wants to be. Do you understand? Because a woman is malleable. A woman is multitasking. A man is very rigid, but a woman is like software. You can load as many software as you want onto your phone if the memory is large, but a man is like the hard drive. You cannot put much into it. So what you put into the life of a woman is what you will get. Do you understand? So next one is, be willing to break destructive patterns, knowing that history is not destiny. What you say historical patterns is not your destiny. Saying that is how we are in our family. No, you have accepted a learned behavior, a learned influence that came into your family, and from one generation to the other, it is taken on until somebody turns around and says, enough. This habit, this culture is not right. It needs to be unlearned for there to be peace and happiness. Do you understand? So look to parental role models for what to emulate and what to avoid. It's not everything that your parents do that you emulate. It's not everything that they do that you avoid. Because parents too are human beings. Some are dysfunctional. And a lot of people grew up in dysfunctional homes that affected their own ability to function optimally. And I work with them all the time. All the time, I work with them. As I said earlier, people are beginning to understand that having counseling, not only church counseling, you understand, having proper counseling, proper coaching, proper therapy can actually turn around some certain things that had happened in your life. So that is it for you. I believe as you follow some of these guides that I've given you, you can take your relationships with your partners to new heights and dimensions. You know, I look forward to having you again next week as we continue with our journey, looking at how to create an emotionally safe workplace. That is the next one and the last one in this series. So before I close up, as I said before, this series will form part of my online course. Yes, I have a big gift for you that's coming up shortly. It's called Journey to Self-Discovery, peeling the onion layers which will impact your life in a transformational way and turn, those things that cause delay in your work, in your business, in your relationships, turn it around. You will have more understanding, you'll be able to handle things better, and you'll be able to open yourself. Your energy will open up to take in what God has predestined for you, which things have tried to, push down. So, and another thing I will tell you, on my page I have a gift for you, an ebook, 3 secret gifts 3 secret keys to achieving phenomenal success. Make sure you get it and begin your journey. Begin your journey to self-discovery. Your journey, it depends on you. It depends on you. So in the meantime, before I go off, I'll tell you what I always tell you. Be positive. You are the captain of your ship. Steer it well. Thank you very much for taking time to being on this live Instagram chat training session. Have a good night.